Is my voice okay? Yeah, very good evening to all. So let us learn about those laws. Okay. So last time we have covered the Payment of Wages Act, right? This is the act we have covered. Okay. So can we have a quick snapshot of what we have done under that law? What are things we have read under that law? Anyone? Any of the clause of that law you would like to share, or you remember which you would like to share here? So what all clause were there in that law? Please let me know before we proceed ahead to the next law, that is Minimum Wages Act 1948. So last time we have done the law which was being published in 1930, right? So what all points were there? Prabhavati, Sandeep, people were there, whoever was there. So the Payment of Wages Act 1936, this is what we have covered. So what all things we have covered under that? Any one clause you would like to mention here? Today we are going to cover Minimum Wages Act 1948. That's great. That's great. No one remembers any of the clause of that? What all things we have done? Come on. What is the use of teaching if you cannot remember it in the very next section? Okay, I'm just going to put, I have got one PPT. I have shared that in last time as well. Okay, so I'm just going to share it again. Deduction. What kind of deduction, Raisa? This is very, very pathetic. Reduction of absence. Correct, Raisa. Very good, Raisa. What else? And it is applicable to people whose minimum salary is what? Whose salary ranges between 1600 to 6500. If it is beyond that, this law won't be applicable, right? I will give you the quick snap. You can just, like put some pressure on your mind and try to remember the points. In the meanwhile, let's begin with this. The Minimum Wages Act 1948. The genesis of minimum, see, when it comes to the Minimum Wages Act 1948, okay? Now, let's learn about Minimum Wages Act 1948 in simple words, first of all, okay? So now, see, the first question is this Minimum Wages Act, why this was being passed? See, this was enacted to safeguard the interest of workers mostly in the unorganized sector by providing for the fixation of minimum wages in certain specified employments. Okay, so let me explain it to you in the form of points and then we are going to read it from the book. Fine? Yes, Raisa, correct. And if you are being absent for no reason, then also, your wages will be deducted, right? And the money should be paid, the amount, the salary should be paid in which currency? Either in the currency used in the country or through check, or it can be even transferred to the account, right? Okay, now, is everyone able to see the board properly? All right. Now, let's proceed ahead with this. The genesis of Minimum Wages Act is traceable to the Minimum Wage Fixing Machinery Convention 1928, yeah, very good evening, of the International Labour Organization. This convention has become one of the most widely accepted instruments of the ILO. Now, the Minimum Wages Bill was introduced in the Central Legislature in 1946 and was passed in 1948. The Act contains 31 sections. Got my point? And what is the object of this Act? That is the question, right? Now, See, what all things are being mentioned under this act. Let's learn about it, okay? Alright, so I have got PPT related to this. Let's learn it from there, okay? And then I'm going to teach it to you from the book itself, okay? So I'm just going to put that PPT on the board. Alright. So just give me a moment please, okay? I'm just putting it on the board. Yeah, good evening everyone. Okay. So today we are doing the Minimum Wages Act 1948. Last time which act we have done? Who is going to tell me? What was the name of the act which we have done last time? What was the name of the act we have done last time? Please let me know. The Payment of Wages Act. Correct. Very good. Alright. Now let's switch over to this act, that is the 1948 Act of Minimum Wages Act. What does the name suggest? The Payment of the Minimum Wages Act 1948. What does the name suggest? What you are going to get in clause for this act? Anyone? Yeah, good evening, Darshana. Any idea? Any guesses? What could be there in this act? The Minimum Wages Act 1948. There must be a minimum wage. So this is for, see, they just need to ensure that there is a minimum wage for every occupation. That's why they have brought this law, and this is still into existence. It was being formulated in 1948. Okay, this is for earlier one. Okay, this focuses on something else, and each and every law which was formulated earlier, it is being revised from time to time. It doesn't remain the same. Okay, it is being revised from time to time. Now, as far as this act is considered, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, what does that say? Why it was being, brought into law, to which people they were keeping in mind when they were, making this law. They were trying to save the, whose benefit, to whom benefit. Just a second. There is some voice in this line. Just a second. Is my voice audible now? Is my voice audible? Everyone out there? See, there is a reason behind, passing certain laws or bringing them into, existence. So there is no law without, any cause. Okay? There is no law without any cause. They are just not going to pass any law without any cause. There must be a reason behind it. The reason behind passing this law was to see if they are not going to fix a minimum wage in a particular sector. Okay? People will be exploited, right? So to stop exploitation of workers, this was being passed. This law was being passed. Because if the government is not fixing minimum wage for a particular, job, obviously they will pay less than what it needs to be paid, and it is being revised from in a timely manner, right? So it was in the interest of, people who work in a appropriate industry, they actually fix wages for each and every position so that the workers are not being exploited. Okay. Now, let's learn about the broad features of the Act. The Act lays down the principles for the fixation of minimum time rates of wages, a minimum piece rate, a guaranteed time rate, and overtime rate. See, if you are doing overtime for a particular organization, if you are into a certain work, then how much you should get for that overtime. So it is also mentioned in this law. This thing is also mentioned in that law. Fine. Now, the minimum wages may consist of a basic rate of wages and a cost of living of allowances. A basic rate of wages with or without the cost of living allowances and cash value of the concessions in respect of essential commodities supplied at concession rates. See, this Act, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, extends to the whole of India. This Act may be called the Minimum Wages Act 1948. Now, who all are eligible to take advantage of this Act? Permanent employees, casual workers, contract employees, people on probation get fixed pay instead of minimum wages. Trainees get stipend and not minimum wages. Fine. This PPT is going to come on the board in few seconds. Is everyone able to follow me? Is everyone able to follow me? How about others? Everyone needs to respond. Just don't sit idle in class. Please be an active participant in class. Otherwise, no use. So I was reading from here only. It was taking some time. So to protect the welfare of workers. So this is in welfare of workers. Nobody is being cheated. That's why a minimum wage has been fixed. Because if there is no minimum wage scheme, how we are going to get the idea of how much we should be paid, and how the employer is going to get the idea of how much they need to pay, right? They are just going to pay what they feel like paying. So that's why this law is being passed, so that no workers are being exploited. Now, so this I have already read. Okay, let's switch back to the next one. So this is applicable to whole of India, fine. And permanent employees, contract employees, casual workers, okay, all of them fall under this law. They can, if they are being exploited, then they can file petition by using this law. They can give the example of this law that, okay, in this Minimum Wages Act, it is being mentioned that I should be paid this thing, okay, this much, and you are paying me this much, so this is like, I'm going to sue you for this. Fine. What is appropriate government? In relation to scheduled employment carried on by central government or railways or EST under Central Government Act, the central government, in all other cases the state government. Now, minimum wages, all remuneration capable of being paid in money terms for work done if terms of contracts were fulfilled. Fine. So what is minimum wages? How it should be paid? I'll come to that, Surjit. I'll come to that, okay? All remuneration capable of being paid. See, you are going to provide physical labor or mental labor when you are going at work. These are the kinds of labor we do. Either we fall into the category of blue collar job or we fall into the category of white collar jobs. And we should be paid for the same in terms of money. And before you join some job, some clause are being mentioned that you need to do this and this as a job role, right? So if all the terms of the contract are being fulfilled, you should be paid minimum wages for the same. It consists of basic, DA, okay, house rent allowance. Fine. Is it clear? So your minimum wage should include basic, dearness allowance and house rent allowance as well. Every 5 years, basic rates of every industry are decided by minimum wages committee. So it is being revised every 5 years. Basic rates are being revised every 5 years by the minimum wages committee. What is DA? Dearness allowance changes every 6 months and is decided by the government. It's not like dearness allowance or basic allowance is going to remain the same. It is being revised from time to time. Fine. These are the definitions. Now, fixing of minimum rate of wages, the appropriate government. shall fix minimum rate of wages for an employment specified in Part 1 or Part 2 of the schedule and added by notification in official gazette. May fix rates for a part of the state or for any specific class or classes instead of fixing minimum rate of wages for the whole state. Shall review and revise at intervals not exceeding 5 years. So it has to be revised. The minimum, the basic pay and the other rates like DA and all, it should be revised in 5 years, and it should not exceed beyond 5 years. It has to be revised in 5 years. Okay, the minimum rates of wages. Different minimum wages may be fixed by the government for different employment specified in the schedule. Different classes. It could be skilled workers, unskilled workers, semi-skilled workers of work in the same employment. Adults, adolescents, children and apprentices. Different localities. Segregation. Minimum rate of wages may be fixed by any one or more of the following wage periods. Namely, like you can be paid on hourly basis, you can be paid on day basis, you can be paid a month, you can get a monthly salary by such other large wage period. Find Nixon. As may be prescribed and where such rates are fixed by the day or by the month, the manner of calculating wages for a month or for a day as the case may be indicated. Fine. We are going to do these things in detail from book as well. This is just to give you the bare idea of what this law says. Fine. Now, different minimum wages may be fixed by the government may consist of basic plus special allowance, which varies with the cost of living index. Basic plus cash value of concessional supply of materials like food, clothes, etc. Fine. An all-inclusive rate which includes basic plus cost of living allowance plus cash value of concessional supply of materials. Is this much clear to everyone? Nixon, is my speed okay? Nixon? Okay, okay, fine. All right, let's proceed ahead. Okay, okay, fine. Now, let's move to the second PPT, next PPT, that is fixing minimum rates of wages. Publish its proposals in the official gazette asking comments from the affected parties. Constitute committees, subcommittees for the purpose. The committees, subcommittees and advisory board constituted by the government consist of equal number of members of employers, employees and independent persons. So how they revise it from time to time. They make a committee in which they are going to have employers, employees and independent persons, and then the joint decision will be applicable. Okay. It is going to be come as like revised law. Fixation of minimum wages. First of all, recommendation of advisory board for different class. Like different class of people, they get different pay, right? Those people who do mental work in an office, like CA, the salary of CA is more than that of an engineer, right? So it depends on the kind of work you are doing, right? The unskilled workers, like the people who do blue collar job, they are being paid less, right? So it depends. Every class of every category of workers, they get different salary. For every position they have a different salary, right? Publish recommendations in national publications for public comments, representations from trade unions, etc. Hearing of the representatives, notification of minimum wages. This is how it is being fixed and revised. Okay? Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear, everyone? Okay, Nixon, is my speed okay now? Okay. Now, advisory board appointed by appropriate government to coordinate the work of committees and subcommittees appointed under Section 5. Central Advisory Board to advise the central and state governments in fixation and revision of minimum rates of wages. Now, when it comes to the Indian, suppose you are in PSU in India, then you are being paid as per fixed pay commissions, right? Yeah, to coordinate the work of the advisory board. Now, composition of committees. Each of the committee, subcommittee and the advisory board shall consist of a person to be nominated by the appropriate government, representing the employers and employees in the scheduled employment who shall be equal in number and independent persons not exceeding 1/3 of the total number of members. One of such independent persons shall be appointed by the chairman by the appropriate government. So it is going to have independent people, the committee, it is going to have a person nominated by the appropriate government, and it is also going to have equal number of people from employers and employees. Okay? And this whole committee is going to take decisions, like how it has to be revised. Correction of errors. By appropriate, see, whatever law is being formulated, it doesn't mean that, it is up to the mark. There might be some errors in that and it has to be revised, right? So same is applicable to such laws as well. Okay, at the time, they are formulating it, they are designing it, they might not be able to assess it. Okay, they might not be able to get it, whether, that is, an error. A particular clause might not work well for the people. It is an error. Okay, or it might look very good in terms of, clause, but it might not work very well when it comes to, implementing it practically. So in that case, it has to be revised, right? So by appropriate government at any time. So how it is being revised? It is revised by appropriate government at any time, by notification in the official gazette, correct clerical or arithmetical mistakes or errors arising from an accidental slip. Sometimes, when it is being fed into the system, this is a human error. They might, design it appropriately, but when they are printing it, typing it, or, it might go wrong. Something might go wrong, right? So if there is an error in that case, they have to rectify that as well. Every such notification shall be placed before the advisory board for information. Fine? Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone? Okay. Minimum wages shall be paid in cash. The appropriate government may authorize, where there has been a custom of payment in this manner, payment of minimum wages either wholly or partially in kind. The appropriate government may authorize supply of essential commodities at concessional rates. Now, payment of minimum rate of wages. Okay. The minimum wages has to be paid without any deduction other than statutory deductions. Payment of wages less than minimum wages on the ground of less performance or output is illegal. So, see, if they are paying you less than the minimum wage, just on the ground that they think, that you are not able to deliver the output they expect you to, it would be illegal at their part. Fine? Okay? Alright. Now, normal working hours. For an adult worker working in factories, number of working hours should not exceed 48 hours in a week with a weekly holiday. So it's not, you are entitled to get get a holiday, a weekly holiday. And if the employer is not giving you that, it's like illegal as per this law. The daily hours should not exceed more than 9 hours. So if your company is making you work more than 9 hours, then it is like illegal as per this law, with 1 hour rest interval. That means just 8 hours and 1 hour rest, not more than 8 hours. Okay. Provision of compensatory holiday overtime wages of working on holiday. Fine. So if you are doing overtime, you should be paid additional for this week. Fine. Is this much clear to everyone? Asya, Lakshmi, Sandeep, Nixon, Mohammed, Sujit, Raisa, Prabhavati, Kelvin, Samo, Ajit, Rekshi, Mohammed, Mahfouz, Darshana, and Vinod. Okay. Kelvin, sorry, not Kelvin. What was the name? Nixon. Nixon, is my speed okay now? I hope I'm not going too fast. Everyone out there, including Nixon. I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, thank you. Now, overtime wages. So see, if you're working overtime, if you're giving extra time for a particular, okay. See, if you are doing overtime for a particular company, how much you should be paid? Okay. If the person has worked for more than 48 hours, okay. Yeah. In a week, the excess hours work will be treated as overtime. Overtime wage rate will be twice of the normal wage rate. Wages for a person who has worked less than normal working hours. Employer could not provide the activities of the job then. The employee is entitled to receive full salary. Okay? Employee has not worked due to unwillingness, then the employee is not entitled to receive full salary. Fine? Is this much clear to everyone? Okay. Records to be maintained. The register should contain the following particulars. Particulars of the employed person, the work performed by them. Okay, it can be fielded in the system too, as it happens nowadays. The wages, like intranet, the company's intranet, the receipts given by them. Okay. Is this much clear? Okay. Any questions to ask? Do you have any questions for me? Okay, fine. A labor commissioner or any other appointed authority is authorized to hear claims regarding non-payment of minimum wage. Any aggrieved person may apply to the authority for settling his claims within 6 months. Okay. See, if they are not paying you minimum wages, then in that case, whom you should go to for your grievances? Who is going to hear to your grievances and settle it down? Fine. A labor commissioner or any other appointed authority is authorized to hear claims regarding non-payment of minimum wages. Fine. And you can go to his or her for the same. Okay, fine. Now, penalty. Now, if someone is not paying you minimum wages, then in that case, and if you are reporting against them, and if they are found guilty of the same, then what all penalties they'll have to pay? Payment of less than minimum wages to employee, imprisonment which may extend up to 6 months, or fine which may extend up to rupees 500 or both. Fine? Is it clear? Okay. Now, contracting out. Any contract or agreement, whether made before or after the commencement of this act, whereby an employee either relinquishes or reduces his rights to a minimum rate of wages, or any privilege or concession accruing to him under this act, shall be null and void, so far as it purports to reduce the minimum rate of wages fixed under this act. Now, power of state government to act schedule. The state government has to notify in the official gazette not less than 3 months of its intention to do so. Power of central government to give directions. The central government may give directions to a state government as to carrying into execution of this act in the state. Fine. Now, power of the central government to make rules, procedures to be followed in conduct of business, methods of voting, manner of filling of casual vacancies in membership, quorum necessary for the transaction of business of the Central Advisory Board. Now, see, few more things I would like to cover about this law. It is there in, like another slide. So let's learn from here as well. Are you able to see the board properly? Everyone out there? Okay. So see, as per this act, if I try to explain you this act in simple language, everyone is entitled to get a minimum wage. And if they are not getting it, it's a crime. Okay. And you can file a suit against the employer, right? And if you are doing overtime, then you need to be paid as per this law, right? And they just cannot make you work more than 9 hours in a day, and you should get a 1 hour lunch break as well, right? Is it clear? Okay. Okay. Now, wages means all remuneration capable of being expressed in terms of money. Okay, which would, if the terms of contract of employment expressed or implied were fulfilled, to be payable to a person employed in respect of his employment or work done and such. Now, employment includes house rent allowances but does not include the value of any house accommodation, supply of light, water, medical attendance or other amenity or service excluded by general or special order of appropriate government. Okay. Now, see, when it comes to this Minimum Wages Act 1948, what are things you can make it out? What are about the same act from the PPT I have shared? Can you explain it to me in form of simple points? What does this law say and what has to be done? So what does this law say and why was it being designed? Who is going to explain it to me? I would like to know from you, what does that law say? What does that law say? Listen, I have explained you that law, right? So you have to write it, okay? I have explained you that law. Now, what does that law say? What can you make it out from the points I have taught you? What can you make it out about that law? Okay? From the PPT which I have shown you a few minutes back. Yes, tell me next. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. And it is being revised from time to time. Great. Now, see, do you know the history of this act? See, history of this Minimum Wages Act, let's learn about it. ILO Convention number 26 in 1928 recommended machinery for fixation of minimum wages. The Standing Labour Committee of Tripartite Organization discussed in 1946. On 13/4/1946, Dr. Ambedkar introduced Minimum Wages Bill. So he was the one who has introduced this bill, Dr. Ambedkar. And on 15 Okay. So on 15/3/1948, the Minimum Wages Act 1948 was being passed. So who has introduced the Minimum Wages Bill? Dr. Ambedkar. Fine. Now, let's learn about the objectives of this bill. Okay. So this bill was introduced by Dr. Ambedkar and it was being passed in 1948. So it was being introduced by Dr. Ambedkar in 1946. Is this much clear to everyone? Is this much clear to everyone? Great. Now, what were the objectives of this bill? Okay, to prevent the exploitation of workers by the employers. If this bill is not there, obviously they'll be exploited because there is no fixed, like figure for the minimum wages for a particular job. By fixing the statutory obligation on the employer to pay minimum wages, it is going to bring social justice too, to enable the working class to have a minimum standard of life, right? To fix, revise the minimum rate of wages for the scheduled employment, to add any new employment to the schedule, fine? Okay. Now, do you know what all industries are being included under this bill? Does anyone know that? Does anyone know that? Okay, so let me tell you what all industries fall under this bill. Okay, so people of these industries, they fall, on them this bill is applicable. Okay, so I'm just going to put it on the board. There are so many industries, so let me share it with you bit by bit. So for the in the part 1, it is being mentioned that oil mills, automobile engineering workshops, okay, baking process including biscuit manufacturing, brick kiln factory, cashew processing establishment, cement concrete pipes, and cement places where cements are being manufactured. Okay, chemicals and pharmaceuticals, cinema industry. Fine. Cinema industry, clubs, canteens. There are many other industries too. Okay, coffee plantations, color printing and yarn dyeing, those people who work under that industry. Okay, then cotton ginning industry, cotton carpet industry, domestic workers also fall under this bill. Okay. So if you are not paying, minimum wages to your domestic help, then in that case you will be punished as well. Fine. We are entitled to get punishment as well as per this bill. Okay. Color printing and yarn dyeing. Okay. I will tell you, I'll come to it. Let's reach industry one by one. I'm not in a rush. Okay. So these industries fall under this bill. You can read it on your own as well. It's being mentioned on the board. Okay. The other industries which are being included in this bill are these. Okay. Okay. Let me change it, please. So these industries are also being included, like handloom industry, hospitals, nursing homes, clinics, other than government hospitals and dispensaries, hostels of all colleges and all other educational institutions, jute and coir industry, limestone industry, match and fireworks, mesta used windmills. Fine. Many industries are being included. If we are going to make a list of that, it is going to take more than 2 sessions for us. So let's switch over to the next part of it. This act may be called the Minimum Wages Act 1948. It extends to the whole of India as it is being told. Now, who is the employer? What is the definition of an employer as per this bill? Right? That is the question. Right? Who is the employer? Right? So it is being mentioned, the appropriate definition of employer is being mentioned in the second section of this bill. Yes, Vinod. Are you able to follow me? I hope this is not boring for you. Employer means any person who employs one or more employees in any schedule of employment. Such employment may be directly by himself or through another person. Such employment, okay, on his own behalf or behalf of any other person, and includes the manager of a factory, the HOD, or any other person or authority of such government. Right? So these people fall under the category of employer as per this law. The CEO of the local authority or any person appointed for controlling or supervising such employees, he is also termed as employer as per this law. Fine? See, employee. Now, who is the employee as per this bill? Employee means any person employed for or for hire or reward, and includes an outworker. And what is the definition of wages as per this bill? Wages means all remuneration capable of being expressed in terms of money, which includes HRA. Fine? Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Now you can read it on your own, these three clauses, okay, and then we are going to proceed ahead to get the better understanding of it. Okay. Are you reading it? Asya, Sandeep, Nixon, Mohammed, Surjeet, Prabhavati, Kelvin, Samu, Ajit, Rekshi, Darshana, Vinod Kumar. Okay. Yeah, please read it. I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, okay. Just read it, and once you are done, just let me know. Okay, good. Now, let's proceed ahead to the next part of this. Okay. See, now what is minimum wage exactly? That is the question, right? Like, what is the exact appropriate definition of minimum wages? See, minimum wages means it's the lowest limit below which you just cannot think in terms of wages. So minimum wages means it's the lowest limit and you just cannot think below that in terms of like money you are paying to the employee. Fine? It depends from job to job, Prabhavati. It's been mentioned. Okay? So you just cannot think below minimum wages. Fine? Otherwise it would be a crime. Now, let's proceed ahead to the next part of it. See, these laws are quite big. So, see, the minimum wage, see, when it comes to a minimum wage, it is being fixed. It is fixed for all jobs, okay? So, let's not fall into that thing, but let's know what minimum wages means. And if, somebody is doing, injustice to us in terms of minimum wages, then obviously we can raise the voice if we know about it. Now, Section 3. Appropriate government fix the minimum rates of wages payable to employees employed in employment specified in Part 1 and 2. The minimum rates of wages will be reviewed, revised for every 5 years by the appropriate government. Appropriate government can add any employment, to the schedule wherein 1,000 or more employees are found working. Fine. Is it clear? And see, the minimum rate is not the same for all the jobs. It's different for different jobs. Fine. Nixon, what are you asking? You want to get the quote of what is the specific minimum wage for an appropriate job? So give me an example, then I can tell you the, like minimum wage for a particular job. For that you can, use Google. Okay. But if you can let me know a particular job and then I can let you know. Yeah. It depends on hours of work and the type of industry you are employed for. Okay. You're working for. Fine, everyone? Fine, Nixon? Is it clear, Nixon? No. See, different minimum rates of wages may be fixed for different scheduled employment, different classes of work, different localities. See how government calculates what will be the minimum. See, they have a committee for that. We have already read that, They hire a committee and committee, the committee is going to have employers, people from employers, employees, some, local people, some people from the government, and all of them, they have a joint discussion over it. Okay? And then they decide over it. Fine? Wage period, hour, day, month, any longer period. Fine? So they have a debate over it and then only they decide it. Okay? Now, is this much clear to everyone? Alright. Now, right to trade versus minimum wages. Let's learn about this. Alright. See. Though Article 19(1)(g) guaranteed freedom of trade, the fixation of minimum wages is reasonable restriction in the interest of public. Directive principles of state policy in Article 43 ensures living wage and decent standard of life to all workers. Fine? Now, Directive principles of state policy in Article 43 ensures living wage and decent standards of life to all workers. Right? Now, minimum wage, fair wage, and living wage. What is the difference between all three? Okay? The wage which provides bare substance and it is at little above the poverty line. So the wage with, minimum wage is like it's above the poverty line. Fair wage is little above the minimum wage and sufficient to provide necessities. And living wage is at comfort level. So there are three kinds of wages. Minimum wage is like the minimum. The one which is a bit above, like this minimum wage is a fair wage, and living wage is at comfort level. Fine? Is it clear? So there are three types of wages. Minimum wage, fair wage, little above the minimum wage is fair wage, and it's sufficient to provide necessities. Living wage is at comfort level. We are getting, living wage, all of us, right? We fall in that category. Now, what all norms are being, kept in mind? What all norms are being followed when they fix minimum wages? Okay? This is what, Nixon is asking since long, So let me answer that question of his. Nixon is very curious to know about this act. Now, ILC at the 950 session passed resolution for norms and fixation of minimum wages. Family comprising of 3 consumption units, worker 1 unit, wife 0.8 unit, 2 children 1.2 unit each. Minimum food requirement based on intake calories recommended by Dr. Archeod. 2,700 calories, 14 OZ cereals, 3 ounces of pulses, 10 ounces of vegetables, 2 ounces of milk, 2 ounces of sugar, 2 ounces of oil and ghee, 2 ounces of fruits, 2 ounces of fish, meat, and 1 ounce of egg. Clothing should be like 72 yards per family per annum. This is how they fix it. Now, norms and fixation of minimum wages, house rent and all, how they decide over that. Housing rent for minimum area under government industrial housing scheme. Fuel, lighting and others, 20% of the minimum wages. Children education, medical requirements, minimum recreation including festivals, ceremonies and provision for old age, marriage, etc. should further constitute 25% of the total minimum wage, as per the judgment of the Supreme Court of India in 1991 in case of Reptaco's Bread and Company versus its workmen. Okay? So this is how they decide over it. Okay? Is it clear, everyone? So you just need to make sure that your employees are getting, before deciding over the minimum wage, they just see that these requirements are being fulfilled with the minimum wage. Fine? And from time to time, obviously, it is being revised. So now, constituents of minimum wages, this we are going to cover tomorrow. Okay. So I hope you have enjoyed today's session. Although I had been continuously teaching about a particular, act. See, it's a very big act, okay? And government of India has to be blamed for the same, so don't blame me. Okay? If you were finding it boring, you might be cribbing over it. But don't mind it, please. It's of that kind, okay? It's that big only. And unless and until you know about it in detail, what is the use? Okay? So any questions? Anyone out there? Jokes apart. Do you have any questions for me? Anyone out there? Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. See you tomorrow. Please be there and kindly please be on time so that no time is being wasted and repeating the things again and again. Okay. Thank you so much. And don't forget to fill the feedback form. We are surely going to continue with this. And there are so many other acts which we need to cover. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye. And Nixon, please be there tomorrow as well. Please be regular. It's really good, to have students like you. You keep on cracking jokes in the middle. Okay. Even teachers need someone who can check them, so that they can be appropriate. Sometimes, you make mistakes, although you don't want to. So you need someone to keep you check. And I'm really thankful to Nixon for this thing. Okay, so Nixon, please be there. Okay, bye.